How to make sourdough.
First, start by adding 380 grams of water and 100 grams of fresh sourdough starter. Mix them both until well combined. Add 450 grams of flour and 50 grams of wholemeal spelt flour. And then mix. No kneading required, just mix. If you don't have the tool I'm using now, it doesn't matter. You can use a spoon, you can use whatever else. The point here is just to make the flour wet. This is what we want. And from here, we let it rest for 45 minutes. Prepare 10 grams of salt. After 45 minutes of rest, we add the salt. And then we're going to stretch and fold with wet hands. Always keep your hands wet, otherwise the dough will stick to your hands. So as you can see, the dough is not sticking now. You just stretch, not too hard, otherwise you will break it. You don't want to break it. And you fold about 12 times. Basically, we have to do that 4 times. So we have 30-minute rest between each time. So the whole process takes a bit over 2 hours. Let it rest for another 30 minutes. And then again, we stretch and fold. As you can see, the consistency of the dough is much better. The gluten has been developed. And don't worry about the salt, it will mix. It will be fine. Again, stretch and fold about 12 times. It looks like a nice ball of dough now. And then again, 30 minutes later, another stretch and fold, keeping my hands wet. Very stretchy at this point. Just like that. And then close it, let it rest again. After we stretch and fold 4 times, we're gonna shape the dough. So I'm putting some flour on the bench. And we stretch. Sorry, we shape the dough. So that's gonna give it the nice shape that we have at the end. I'm rolling it. Don't press too hard on it. Just enough so it keeps its shape. So then I've put flour in the banton. So you don't need that. You can use a normal bowl, regular bowl. Whatever container you have, that'll be fine. Just make sure you add flour so it doesn't stick. And then you put the nice side of the bread at the bottom. This is what's gonna be on top when we bake it. And then I give it a final stitching. Then here I cover it. Before that, I add some flour on the side because it's gonna rise while it's resting. So I don't want it to stick. And then to cover it, so I use a regular clean, never used shower cap. And then from here we put it in the fridge for minimum 24 hours. up to 48 hours. I waited 48 hours for this one. So 48 hours later, we take it out of the fridge, we turn on the oven, preheat your oven to 250 degrees for 45 minutes with the casserole inside, so your casserole gets really hot. While your oven is warming up, then take your bread out and then score it. So this is the scoring process. We give it a cut on top. After 45 minutes, take your casserole out and put the bread inside. Here, I'm adding some water, so it's gonna steam inside the casserole and create a nice crust. Then I drop it into the casserole while being careful because it's really hot. Then I put it back, the lid on. From here, you drop the temperature to 220 degrees Celsius and you let it cook for 35 minutes. After 35 minutes, that's what we get. With a beautiful oven spring. Put it back in the oven, still at 220, for 15 more minutes. After 15 minutes, the bread is basically cooked by now, and it looks amazing. That's what we get. But what I'll do, I'll put it back in the oven, but I'll turn it off. The oven completely off for an extra 10 to 20 minutes. And that's the final product. Do not cut the bread straight away off the oven. Let it cool down for at least an hour. And I'm going to try it with some butter, fresh butter.
Chill out.